Hey guys, welcome back to the Cocco channel. I don't know what to call it. It's not like a horror story. It's not, I've only done a couple of videos like this on my channel. And this is going to be like kind of an explanation. Not that I need to explain anything to anyone, but I feel it is my responsibility and my obligation to inform you guys and let you in on the know, because I do weekly vlogs, and I want this to be my full-time job, and I'm working really hard at that, and you guys are totally helping me, and you guys are my friends. So I'm speaking directly to my subscribers that I already have. This is like for you guys, for you to be aware of the situation, and this could be for anybody else that will be going through. I'm already getting emotional. Anybody that's gonna go through what I'm going through. Okay, I do want to start off with saying that I am going to be very emotional. I'm going to be very raw in this video. If crying in a video is something that triggers you and something that you can't watch, I would just advise you to maybe just read the description box on what's going on. This is going to make so many more things make sense. I don't think that's proper grammar, but it's just going to help with some things. I don't have anything on my lips and it's making me self-conscious. Oh well. So I also want to say before I get into this story that this is in no way to capitalize on the situation. This is in no way to get views. This is in no way to boost me in any shape, way, or form, get any sympathy, get anybody to feel sorry for me, anything like that. Again, this is purely an explanation for my viewers that I already have, and maybe if you're thinking you're gonna might go through this situation or you're in the middle of this process, this could maybe potentially be helpful for you. I am in no way expert in this area. This is brand new to me. I don't know a lot of the lingo. I don't know a lot of the proper terminology, or you know, just because this happened to me and some of these symptoms sound familiar doesn't mean that this is necessarily going to this isn't going to diagnose you or anybody that you know. This is just my experience, and I am very open and honest and raw with my audience. I always have been. So let's just go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start with a little backstory just in case there is somebody new watching. So my name is Cocco. This is the Cocco channel. I have been married for 8 years, coming up in June. My husband and I met in 2010 once, and then he went to boot camp. He is in the Air Force. And when he left, we didn't talk at all until February of the following year, 2011. And we fell in love, and we fell in love hard and really fast. So we started talking in February consistently. We started dating in March. He proposed in April, and we got married in June. And we were living in Las Vegas. I was living in Las Vegas. That's where we met. And he was stationed at a base called Andrews Air Force Base in Washington, D.C. So in that year, I moved out there in July. So we got married in June, and I moved out there in July, drove across country, like dropped everything, quit my job. Like, I wanted to be with him more than anything I had ever experienced in my entire life. And so because we got married so fast, we in no way were ready to have kids. We were honestly still getting to know each other, and we were falling in love more and more. And then he got deployed the following year. And then the whole time he was gone, or right when he got back, I went on birth control. And when I think we waited another year after he got back. He got back in 2013, and it took us all until I think we waited about a year. In 2014, I went off of birth control, and it took us an entire year to get pregnant with my son. I fell pregnant in July of 2014, and we had my son in April of 2015. 2015. It was a healthy pregnancy. I had no issues. I didn't have hypertension. I didn't have any of the, what's it called? The preeclampsia. I didn't have the diabetes. Like I didn't have any issues whatsoever in pregnancy, even though I was overweight and all of that. The only thing that happened while I was pregnant is they did tell me that he was going to be a very large baby, which we weren't really surprised because I was about average. I was like 8, and I think my husband was a little bit on the heavier side, but they were projecting my son Aiden at 10 pounds. And so they're like, we're not gonna let you go into labor because it's just gonna put way too much stress on you and the baby. Scheduled a C-section. No big deal, had no issues with that. Aiden came out breathing, happy, healthy. The only thing that he had was the, what's it called? Jaundice, which again, no big deal. I had jaundice and my brother, my husband and all of his siblings had jaundice. No big deal. Did the light therapy, went away. Did all of our vaccinations. Everything was great. And I think it was around when my son was about 1, we started noticing some things. There were some, I don't know what the correct word is, like triggers is what we've always called it. So very loud noises triggered him, like, and it was like this, and it was covering his ears. We noticed that he wasn't speaking a whole lot, right around like his other, like children his other age, oh my gosh, other children his age were, you know, picking up words and, you know, pointing to things and gesturing, and, you know, my son would just kind of make noises like grunts, and, you know, if he wanted something, you never knew what it was. It could be from, you know, hunger to toys to tired, and everything was the same noise. It was very stressful, and, you know, as a new mom, and being as a new mom and being so far away from home, not having my own mom to kind of help and guide me, I was kind of at a loss. Wasn't sure if it was something I was doing, something I wasn't doing. And so in 2016, my husband's active duty contract ran out, and so we moved here. My son had just, you know, he was only 1.5 when we moved here, and it became even more prevalent that something was wrong. We were around more children at this point, and, you know, again, he wasn't talking. He had a lot of issues with auditory noises. He stopped napping during the day really early, before he was even 2. So it was about when he turned, I think, 2.5, that, you know, it wasn't like just a discussion anymore. Like I felt like something needed to be done, and it was interfering with like activities. We had him in a swim class, and they were horrible with him. Horrible. You know, they were like really rough with him. They were really irritated that he wouldn't like keep focused. He didn't really like keep eye contact when they were talking to him and trying to instruct him. And so, you know, I didn't want him to miss out on anything. It wasn't fair that he couldn't be in this swim class with other kids his age and not be talked to or tossed around. That was like a whole other story. And so we quit that, and one day was driving from my parents' house to, I think it was to swim school or somewhere else, and there's like this little community center, and I thought like, oh, maybe they have swim classes, or maybe they have like gym classes or tumbling or something. Like he needs something. He's an energetic kid, like, and he's sweet. He's not violent. He's not mean. He doesn't like destroy things. He's not a mean-spirited kid or you know, like angry kid. He just, certain things set him off, and his fits look different than other kids, and no kid, no matter what issues they have, is the same. There's no child that's the same. There's no parent the same. So I called this community center, and come to find out it was an education center, and so they had this whole menu, and they brought up a like special needs program for preschool for ages 2, or maybe it was 3 to 5, so before kindergarten age, and if they qualified, they would do like an evaluation and this and that, and so we kind of started looking into it. And we did our evaluation, and you know, they did a vision test, they did a hearing test, and he passed those, aside from like an astigmatism in his eye, which is not that big of a deal. It's not abnormal. Both Andrew and I both have astigmatisms and vision issues. But the speech and the behavior, he was like wandering around the room. He was, you know, picking stuff up, putting it down, picking stuff up, putting it down. And so they were like, he definitely qualifies for the program. And so he started, we did the evaluation in May of last year, and he didn't start until October of last year, just because of like the school schedule, and you know, you had to do like a second evaluation, and you like met with the whole entire board, like the director of the program, the speech therapist, the occupational therapist, and then who potentially would be his preschool teacher. And so that was like no secret. I told you guys all about that, I'm pretty sure. And like he started school and, you know, stuff like that. I've always told you that he doesn't talk as much as other kids, and you can hear him in the background, like he says some words and stuff like that, but he's 4 years old, to whereas most 4-year-olds are 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds even, are talking full-on sentences, like how, maybe not how exactly I'm talking to you, but they can understand, they can, you know, talk and stuff like that. And so right around the same time that we got in contact with them, we did talk to our pediatrician, who we no longer see, and we, you know, just wondered about autism. And she full-fledged told us, she's like, I don't think he's autistic. I think maybe he has a little bit of ADD. She's like, but we'll get it checked out, you know, no worries, we'll start the process. And so we went to a center, and it's called Bayless, B-A-Y-L-E-S-S, and this is here in Phoenix, Arizona, for anyone who's new. And I met with like the director of the special needs over there, and he was like this real like cocky jerk, basically. And so we sat down, and he literally looked at me this entire time and was like asking me questions about Aiden. And they were questions I had never been asked before. I didn't know how to answer. I gave the best information that I knew how. And he was like, oh yeah, he's for sure autistic. And I was like, whoa, wait, what? And he was like, yeah. So, you know, we'll go from there. You know, I'll walk you out. Didn't talk to Aiden, didn't evaluate him, didn't do anything, like nothing. Walked me out and said they would call me for a second appointment. Didn't give me any literature, didn't give me any resources, didn't give me any support group information, like literally just short of kicking me in the butt to get out, you know? And so I sat there and I started like getting hysterical because, again, somehow this was when my husband was going through the police academy and I was there all by myself. And I was so upset because, you know, they just didn't give me any information. So I'm like, screaming at the receptionist, like, you can't just tell me my son has this, you know, thing and then send me on my merry little way with nothing to help me. And I was furious. And so the guy's like secretary came out and she's like, it's fine, you know, we're gonna call you, don't be upset. Still gave me no resources. So luckily for me, both of my sister-in-laws actually are teachers, and one specifically is very knowledgeable in teaching children with special needs. And so she explained to me that there's no way for them to diagnose Aiden this early because of his age and his like development and, you know, still developing, and like they can't technically diagnose him at this age. And so I was like, you know, so that guy was just a jerk. He was trying to get me out of his office and basically just booming through his appointments. Fine. Okay. So we went down a different route. We went and got his hearing tested at the hospital, like full on, I think it was like a 2-hour test where they do like sound machines, and then, you know, they go into like this soundproof room, like this huge whole thing. And, was that last year? Was that the year before? I want to say that all of that happened the year before. So in the meantime, I got pregnant with Bailey. I had Bailey, and fast forward to like the following year, like that was the year before Aiden started preschool. Fast forward to last year, had Bailey, And we started down another path because it still wasn't making sense. It wasn't making any sense. So it did the evaluation, for school, and we got in contact with a new pediatrician, and he pointed us to a different center, and it's Malmed, and they specialize in pediatric behavioral psychology. And so made an appointment over a year ago, and we just had it in March again. I was there by myself, and it was completely different experience. She evaluated Aiden the entire time. She interacted with me and him, and it was so upsetting because I had just potty trained him and he was holding himself, and so she kept kicking us out to go to the bathroom, and she's like, it's a sanitary issue. If he goes to the bathroom in here, like, you know, it's gonna affect the rest of the day because of sanitization and, you know, following patients. And she's like, you really just need to take him to the bathroom and wait until he goes. And so I was so upset because, you know, she's telling me all this information and I'm trying to absorb it, and I'm trying to be there, present, all while, you know, like focusing on Aiden. And it was really hard to be there mentally, because all I could think about was that I was there by myself and how unfair that was. And it just worked out that way. You know, it wasn't anybody's fault. Like, you know, they left me there or chose not to be there. But, you know, I had Bailey, and so my mom had to watch her, you know. And when we made the appointment a year in advance, we didn't know Andrew was going to get deployed. And so she said that he was autistic. At his age, they don't put them on the spectrum. Like, she can't tell me, like, he has Asperger's, or, you know, he's high functioning, he's low functioning. He's very obviously high functioning because of the abilities that he does have, from what I'm told. Again, like I said in the beginning, I'm not up on all the knowledge. I'm not up on all of the terminology or anything like that, the different types. I just know what is going on with my son and what we were told by this pediatrician. Like, she's not a pediatrician, she's a pediatric behavioral psychologist. And so she just explained some things, and like, she asked me the same questions that guy did, but she interacted with Aiden as well and asked him questions, and, you know, observed him and some of the key traits of autism he showed. And the main focus and the main concern is obviously, they call it a severe preschool speech delay, because he's not talking. He has like, maybe, I think now, it's when he very first started before school, he probably had like 30 words in his vocabulary. Bailey has 30 words in her vocabulary right now, and she's only 1, and uses them, knows what they are, like points to it, gestures, like normal. And I hate saying that word, like Aiden isn't normal, but average speech, and Aiden is below average. And so she's like, once I put you in this system, he will be declared disabled. And there's no going back. But if I do this, you will get the help and the resources that you need. So we went ahead, and he is in the system with the state as being clinically disabled with autism. And that's probably one of the only times I've said it out loud. I've told a select few that are close to me. And if you and I, you know, are close and I didn't tell you, it wasn't... I can count on one hand how many people I've told. And it's not, you know, like a favoritism thing or anything like that. It's just, I've really been struggling with this. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I think, just again, not to like keep going on and like feel sorry for myself, but having your son or your child or somebody, specifically your child, diagnosed disabled and taking that news by yourself and not knowing what to do, because even the resources that she did give me, they were absolute BS. Absolute BS. It was like the state, and I was like, run around there because it's free and, you know, you get all these resources, blah, blah, blah. It was absolute BS. I got run around so much with the state. And so the cool thing is that because Andrew's military, we have TRICARE, and TRICARE offers a lot of resources as well. And then again, he has a complete IEP at school, which is the individual education plan. He gets speech therapy, he gets occupational therapy, and he has progressed so much at the school. And so that is the deal with that. So now summer's coming. We went through a evaluation for speech and occupational for insurance, and it's at a facility that I'm not a huge fan of. It's very ghetto, and it's paired up with like this facility that accepts our insurance is also the facility that takes the state. And for some reason, the people that go through the state here where I am are just rude. And it's ghetto, and that's not like, if you're on state insurance, I'm not saying that you're ghetto. I'm just saying that where I am, it's not the best. I wish it was a nicer facility with nicer workers. And they're just not. And so we did our evaluations a couple weeks apart, and he's supposed to go once a week for speech, once a week for occupational, and they still have not called me, and it's been weeks for each to get those set up. So I'm still in the middle of everything, you guys. Like, I have no advice to give. I have no insight to this diagnosis. I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's been really, really hard. But I just wanted to tell you guys so you're aware. And we've had a lot, not a lot, I take that back, it has not been a lot. We've had a few insensitive situations that have happened already, and I'm not going to tell that story because I still go to that church and I don't want any bad blood there or anything like that. And it was by an older lady who was just ignorant, and, you know, she called Aiden a mute. Which nobody even uses that word anymore. And again, it wasn't meant to be hurtful or anything like that, but it was the first time I had experienced ignorance to this and felt ashamed. And I did grieve through this whole process because I went down that road of like, what did I do? You know, I had to have done something while I was pregnant. Like, I did this to him. I made him this way. And Andrew has 2 autistic brothers, and he was like, you didn't. God did, you know? He had to remind me that it was for a reason and it was for a way. And I don't know what that is yet, and I'm not, you know, saying that he's condemned for the rest of his life or anything like that. He can do anything he wants to, and he's very smart. He's a bright kid, but I did go down that road, and I was really depressed, and I had nobody here to reassure me, and I needed it. You know, there's some instances where things happen and I'm like, I'm fine, I can get through this, but this was not one of them. I needed reassurance, and I needed support, and I needed to be told that everything was going to be okay. And, you know, having Andrew gone through this whole process has been literally one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. In my entire life, I will never forget this. Like, hearing this news by myself, that your son is clinically disabled, by myself, just in a room. And Aiden, of course, has no idea what's going on. He doesn't know anything about all of that. So, again, as I learn, maybe I'll do an update later on this year. But this is purely informational for, like, what's going on in my life right now, and sharing this journey with you guys and being open and honest and raw like I always have been, and I'll never change that. But that's it. So that's it for this video. I am an autism mom, and my son is autistic, and that's okay because God made him that way. And I love him, and he has nothing taken away from him as far as his future goes. But it is going to be a little bit of a different path getting there for us and for him. So that is it for this video. I'm really sorry. I know that every time I cry, there's a few of you that are like, you make me cry so hard, and I'm really sorry, but I have this, telling this story has made me, is gonna make me feel better, and being completely open and talking about it in the future instead of like skirting around and feeling ashamed of that word, because I'm not ashamed of my son, and I'm not ashamed that he's autistic, and I'm gonna own it. So that is it for this video. I love you guys so much. I hope you have an amazing day, and thank you for all of your love and support, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye!